Welcome to Conversations About Creating Change. I'm your host, Terry Yoffe of Try Coaching. Here's a thought from today's guest, Shawn French.
You're going to go through things in life. You're going to be chasing things, and you're going to wake up in the morning and you're not going to feel good physically and you're not going to feel good mentally. But the one thing that you have to always stick to is the standard of who you are and what you do on an everyday basis that is ingrained deep in your DNA. That's what you stay true to. And you just go do that thing and not expecting the result.
No matter what profession you are in, incorporating high performance habits like self-motivation and personal growth applies to all of us. Shawn French, author, keynote speaker, and host of the Determined Society podcast, shares how he has shifted his focus from helping individuals in the business world achieve success through personal development and self-motivation to working with young athletes. Following his passion for sports, Shawn believes that empowering these young athletes to overcome challenges and obstacles can create the changes needed for them to achieve peak performance success. Wouldn't we all like to create change in our lives? These compelling and extraordinary conversations can offer you thoughts on how you can make better life choices. Welcome, Shawn French.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. This is something we've been talking about for a little while now. And I just want to let you know, I see you and I appreciate you and you're doing big things in the world. And I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. That's very sweet. I'm not going to start crying.
She's going to start crying
in the morning. So
too early.
I know you're right. You're right. I'm drinking water. So Shawn, tell us a bit about how you got to where you are.
Well, I mean, to keep it concise, let's talk about where I am in my business and in my show. I think when you start building something like a successful podcast, like the Determined Society has become, you go through many, many evolutions, right? You go through many evolutions as a human being. You go through many evolutions as a brand and as a label, whatever you call it. And it started off with, possibly helping athletes through my message. Then it went to entrepreneurs and I started interviewing celebrity entrepreneurs. And then really what I found, what sets my soul on fire is that these young athletes need somebody they can relate to and talk to. There's too many pressures going on out there, as far as performance anxieties, the fear of the unknown, drugs, social media influence, and all these things that these young athletes are going through. They need someone like me. So what I've done now is I've created a mental peak performance community for athletes. And I launched it yesterday and I've already got 5 people signed up, 4 or 5 people signed up actually. And, we got more people with the links to pay to get in and it's very affordable. And I'm just super excited to be back in the realm of helping young athletes because to me, there's so much to learn in athletics. But if we don't strengthen our minds along with our bodies, they're not going to have a very successful experience. So I'm glad to say I'm where I am now because a lot of failed attempts.
At what?
At just building something, right? We go through a business, we fail and we fail over and over again. And then we start to realize like, why am I sucking right now? Why am I not being super successful at this? And then you realize like, oh, wait a second. It's because it wasn't supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be like this. And when you can speak intelligibly and excitedly and passionately about a subject or a program or how you're helping people, that's when that real energy comes. And I got to tell you, I am a ball of energy right now, and I am super excited for what the future holds for these young athletes.
You mentioned to me, I think, that you were an athlete at one point. Is that correct?
I was. And that's kind of how I came to this too. It's like, I'm like, what am I even qualified to do? So I've always thought, and again, you're qualified to help who you once were. And I'm like, what am I? I'm like, oh my God, I'm a former Division I baseball athlete from Louisiana State University, the #1 baseball school in the United States of America. Like, I understand what it's like to fail and be successful at the collegiate level. Let's help those kids. Let's help those people. So I'm agnostic to what sport what type of athlete? Because I know they're all dealing with the same pressures.
And the Determined Society, how did you come up with that name? Is it all about determination?
Yeah. So that's a great question. The Determined Society happened by accident. I was trying to build a social media brand and someone said, you need to know who you are first. What do people think about you? So I did a poll and and everything that came back was determined, determination, coach, discipline, right? So someone asked me like, what do you want out of life? I said, man, I just want to wake up in a society where everybody wakes up determined and chases their dreams, no matter how they feel, because your dreams do not care about your current state of mind. Right. And they're like, ooh, determined society. Go with that. I'm like, no, I don't like it. I'm like, the Determined Society. I wanted to add the to make it just a little bit more powerful, in my opinion. And really the message is truly, you're going to go through things in life. You're going to be chasing things and you're going to wake up in the morning and you're not going to feel good physically and you're not going to feel good mentally. But the one thing that you have to always stick to is the standard of who you are and what you do on an everyday basis that is ingrained deep in your DNA. That's what you stay true to. And you just go do that thing and not expecting the result, right? That's why athletes really relate to it, because they're so process driven. Go shoot some free throws, go run your drills, hit off the baseball tee, do whatever you got to do. And just know that when it's Friday night and those disco lights come on, that you're going to perform. That's what the Determined Society is.
And did any of that come out of your own life path and how, we all, our own lives kind of go like this. And somehow when we kind of grow up, we might go back and take some of those lessons and put them into today. Mine is, conversations about creating change. I've been creating change, whether I thought about it or not, for so long that it almost became part of me.
So growing up as an athlete, I made a lot of mistakes, and typically the mistakes that I made all happened in between my ears. All right. Now, it started off early in high school. I wasn't lifting weights. I had a poor mindset about that. I was embarrassed to get in the weight room because I was a fat kid and I didn't want to be the weakest one in the weight room. So what did it cause? A weaker athlete. Right. And then what I also didn't know is that training my mind was even more important than training my body. So, I had a double factor there that I was messing up on. And I tried to catch up once I got into junior college and into 4-year at LSU. But the reality was I was only trying to catch up with my body, like lift weights, eat well, run, train. But you know what? If you don't train your mind as an athlete and as a business professional, then you are going to break. Right? The mind is the most powerful thing we can attract, good and bad. It's all over the place. Whatever you think you are going to be. Those things are not just platitudes. They're said for a reason. Right. And so what I've done is when I've created everything that I'm creating now, I'm basing it off of past failures. That is the most powerful thing. I'm not coming from a place of on top of the mountain peak saying, you have to listen to me because I'm the end all be all. I'm coming to these young athletes and I'm coming to the community and saying, I see you. I believe in you. I've been where you're at before. And I've gone down those roads that didn't serve me well. And I didn't get what I wanted out of my playing career. I'm here to help you so you don't go down those same roads.
And how do you think that has started to, even though you've pivoted, how has that started to create change for you and for these athletes?
I'm sitting here with goosebumps now at that question, because you know what now? I believe I'm living in alignment. I'm congruent now. I feel it. I'm excited. My hair is standing up on ends right now. I know that without a shadow of a doubt, what I'm doing is going to matter. And I'm not worried about, do I belong in that space? I'm not worried about imposter syndrome. I lived it. I have the receipts to show it, and I have some bad returns to show it as well. So for me, what's changed in me is a complete shift in energy. It started slow, but as soon as I committed to it, I feel 1,000 pounds lighter right now.
Figuratively or literally?
I would say figuratively. Literally, I'm probably about 15 pounds lighter than I was about a month and a half ago.
Good for you. And what about those that you are talking to, these young athletes? who need guidance, need help, as you said, in so many areas, because my hunch is being an athlete is not easy today at all. And it takes determination. It takes obviously shifting your mindset, because as you said, the mind controls everything. My philosophy is the mind was the first computer ever made. It remembers everything from day one, and it sets up how you live your life.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. I think, everybody talks about your programs, your mental programs, what we believe to be true, we start seeing in the physical world. If you believe that you have a bad body and you are a bad person, you are going to manifest a bad body, not just by black magic, for those of you who listen, and that's not what it is. It's about your beliefs create action, whether they're positive or negative. So if I believe I'm a bad person, I'm going to make choices that are bad. If I feel that I have a terrible body, then I'm going to eat all of the pizza all of the time, right? Instead of, having pizza night like we did last night with my family, I stop at 2 pieces. I'm not restrictive, right? So the program, the mental program in my mind, that's something that you can rewire. That's something that's downloaded from the adults in your life. So to your point, the mind is the very first computer, and it will be the most powerful computer for the rest of eternity.
It's not easy to make changes. So when you work with these young athletes, do they have a mindset of this should be this way, however, it might not be the right way? So how do you shift for them? Or I see you're a storyteller. Do you,
Yes.
Through stories, do you help them untangle some of these belief systems?
Yeah. So stories are powerful, right? Because it brings relatability. It's not a lecture at that point. So if I say, Terry, I remember back when I was in college, I got there, I felt this way, and then things started to change, and here's what happened, and here's what I didn't do correctly. When they hear these stories, you can unravel or kind of, unwind their thought process, because guess what? The athlete today faces more pressures than they ever did. There's social media. Now these college athletes are being paid through NIL deals. Some of these athletes, like quarterbacks in the SEC conference, are millionaires before they even take a snap or throw a football. I mean, it's insanity, right? And with that, they face a ton of pressure to perform, pressure of expectations, and most importantly, fear of the unknown, right? So what I do when I'm going through these fixed mindsets versus elite mindsets, right? Elite mindset finds the positive in struggles. It seeks adversity. A fixed mindset cries about it and thinks like everybody's going against them. So what I found is if we can focus on building the standard or building the process that they need to do every single day to hit their goals, then those things right there, the end result, it tends to fade away. They don't think about it any longer. All they think about is doing the action. Those actions, those mental exercises, those physical exercises that they're doing in the training, you make that part of your DNA, you're not going to go wrong.
So when you say you work with athletes, can you define what stage you work with them? Is it what we see on TV, or is it the young people in college, high school, whichever it is?
Yeah, right now it's the kids in high school and some kids in college.
Are you going to keep the determined society, or are you going to shift that?
I don't know. A lot of me feels like I do need to shift, into this project. For those of you that are listening to this show, that listen to my show, don't worry, they will all still be there. Okay. I would just change the cover and run off the same feed. But I haven't made that determination yet. I have some people in my corner that are helping me build this thing out, with some good friends that are giving me great advice. So we'll see, right? I just don't know yet.
Is it okay to talk about your TV series?
I haven't even launched that yet, to be honest with you. No, I'm still waiting on artwork to be done. I mean, that's going to be cool though. That'll be on Roku. That'll be on Apple TV. That'll be on a bunch of different platforms. So I'm excited about it, but it's taken a little bit longer to build out than I thought, but it needed to be right. I don't need to be quick. You know what I mean? So that's kind of one of those lessons for everybody listening, delayed gratification.
So what will it be based on, the TV series?
To me, it's going to be interviewing high level athletes and talking to, whether they're high school athletes or whether they're collegiate or professional athletes or former professional athletes or coaches about athlete development and how the mind plays such an important role in the success or failures in those athletes.
How do you feel that you're going to make an impact with these people?
I just think they need to know that. Yeah, that's a great question. I just think they need to be heard. I think athletes, they are always on guard. All right. They are being judged based on their performance and what kind of value they bring to their team and their coach. So a lot of times those aren't safe places to talk about how you feel and what you're struggling with, because a lot of times coaches, and especially in baseball, they can use those things against you. Well, you're not ready. Right. So why would an athlete ever open up in an unsafe environment? So what I'm finding is these athletes are super excited to have 30 to 40 minutes of mindset coaching and then 20 minutes of Oprah Forum to discuss with the group the things that they are going through. Right. And me actively coaching them in front of each other and then them giving each other feedback or what they feel that they can do to kind of shift that perspective and that energy in the moment. And that is going to make a big difference in their lives, a big, big difference, because it's not being done.
Once you talk to them and work with them, do you suspect that they will engage with other players, other teammates, so they kind of get on the same page of maybe opening up and being aware of, whatever it is?
Yeah, I think that once, our first call is going to be this Sunday, right? So I think that once they realize that they're not the only ones feeling that way,
they're not alone.
There's common ground, right? And even that stud athlete is feeling these feelings of insecurity and fear of the unknown. It is a struggle that these athletes face with because anything can happen. Anything can happen, and anything can't happen too. So they're worried about their future. And the moment that these kids realize, like, oh my God, like everybody's feeling this way, they're more empowered. They walk a little bit taller. They don't think they're broken anymore. That's the key.
So rather than keep these inside and, go through their own machinations of how I feel and, am I no good, or, the imposter syndrome and all of that, they have now kind of a space to be able to open up and talk about these inner fears like we all have, right? So that's why we either go to therapy or a coach or somebody.
It's the camaraderie, right? It's the locker room mentality. You know what I'm saying? You get in that locker room and you see everybody mixing it up and having like conversations, and you're like-minded. It brings a different openness, right? And again, like, this is about bringing people together. This is about, not every athlete is going to play college baseball or college football or volleyball and become pro. Not every one of them. But we want them to have the best experiences possible when they are present in their sport. For some, high school's it. So how do we create a scenario and make their mind so strong that they can sit there even in high school, and when it's over, know they got every single thing out of it that they could have, and they were present and they enjoyed it. That is the most important thing.
And how do you think they feel when that's it, right? High school's it, and they're not going to be doing this any longer in college. They better find another route for themselves, so to speak.
Life altering. It's life shattering. And here's why. I can remember in 2003 when we lost Game 2 of the World Series, College World Series, to South Carolina. They beat us 11-10, and it was it for me. And I sat there in right field in tears, hugging my teammates, knowing I would never put on a baseball uniform and play a competitive game ever again in my life. All of a sudden, Shawn French was dead. He was gone. I didn't know who I was because for years I was Shawn French, the baseball player. So I tied my identity to what I did, not who I was. So that's another part of it. It's like, I want to teach these athletes, like, you're an athlete. It's something you do. It's not who you are. So when it's all over, without proper training, they're going to feel like their life's ended.
That is such a great point, because so many people in every walk of life, whether they're on Wall Street or sports or whatever, their identity is so tied in to what they do and how much money they make and their labels. And what happens when the rug is taken out from under us? We're like laying bare, naked, and don't know what to do.
It's a double-edged sword, right? Because the one thing that I found, especially among men in the world, is like when you introduce yourself to somebody, they're always like, what do you do? What? Like, don't you want to know who I am? I would rather be at a barbecue and someone comes up, hey, what's your name? I go, I'm Shawn French. Oh, my name's John Smith. Hey, nice to meet you, John. Hey, Shawn, let me ask you a question, man. Those your kids over there? Yeah, all three of them. Those are mine. What are you teaching them right now? Like, what kind of lessons? Like, how are you parenting them? You know, those are my two over there. And here's what we're doing. I'm interested in what you're doing. Are you reading any good books lately? Like, that's the conversation I want to be in, because when someone asks, hey, what do you do? They want to know how to measure your socioeconomic status. That is the only reason. They don't care. They want to know if they're above you or below you, because they want to know how to act in that certain interaction. That's the only reason.
Well, that is very kind of life awakening, if you will, but that's what we're trained to do. We go to, when I was in the business world, I was the quintessential networker, oh, hello, how are you? My name is, and, somewhere they'll say, what do you do? Who do you work for? And that whole thing. And gosh, you're right.
I flip people like all the time. When I go to networking events, I flip people's perspective on its end. Like, it's like completely backwards. Because I always say, hey, I'm Shawn French. What's your name? Oh, so-and-so. Tell me about yourself. Well, I work. I go, no, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. I want to know about you. Who are you? Like, what? Tell me about yourself, not about what you do. And it really confuses people. And they look at me and they go, thank you, but I don't know.
You're right. Everyone is so dialed in and so programmed that this is how they operate. And, I love your shift. I really do. It's amazing. So you're creating change. You're starting on a new path, which I love. I really do. I hear your passion with it. What do you want your legacy to be?
I just want people to realize, or when the eulogy is given at my funeral.
Oh gosh.
I want people to say, I want my wife and my friends to say, this man truly cared about people, and he did whatever he could to improve people's lives. He was impactful with athletes, but most importantly, his children never felt second fiddle to anything else. That's my legacy. That's what I'm building. Am I successful at it all the time? No, I'm not. I make mistakes, but I want the overall feel of Shawn French to be, what a husband, what a father, and like, oh my God, did he make an impact to billions of athletes all over the planet?
That's beautiful. Really nice. And I am so right there with you. I definitely try every day to create change, to do something. And people think of change as something magnanimous. It can be smiling at somebody.
It is.
That creates change in a moment. So what's one last thing, one last tidbit that you would like to leave our audience with?
I just think if you're sitting right now listening to this show and you're confused on what road you want to go down, if you feel any sort of unhappiness in your soul and you feel unfulfilled, then be honest with yourself. Are you really living in alignment with who you are? Not what you think people want from you. Be you. You were made, you were put on this earth and created completely different than everybody else. You have different gifts. You're not just like everybody else. So what you need to do is you need to dive into who you really are and start living your truth. And don't worry about if you're going to lose people, because guess what? You're going to gain much more when you're living who you are.
And gain your own self-being.
Your own self-respect and self-love is done through so much work. It is not given, it is earned, and that's how you earn it.
Shawn, this has been so wonderful. I have enjoyed our conversation. I knew you would bring incredible words of wisdom.
Oh, I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I had a blast.
Have a great day.
Yes, ma'am. You too.
What are you doing to create change in your corner of the world? Thank you for joining the conversation. For related content on extraordinary work, visit my website, trycoaching.com. I'll be back in 2 weeks with another conversation. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and be sure to subscribe to future podcasts so you don't miss an episode. Always remember, when you work with passion and purpose, your work can become extraordinary. You'll definitely want to listen to my next guest, Ken Rusk. Ken believes anyone can achieve their dreams regardless of their educational background. Ken is a best-selling author of Blue Collar Cash, entrepreneur and blue collar advocate. He feels that there is no degree required for comfort, peace, and freedom.